Well, hello. This is the first time I'm doing this, and I felt like I had to in a way because I had so many thoughts about this movie that I'm gonna be talking about. As you guess, not guess, but like as you can see from the title, I am going to be talking about the movie Tin and Tina. This Spanish movie set in the 1980s, and it's about a couple that they get married, and as soon as they get married, they lose a child, and then they adopt these two kids called Tin and Tina from a convent, and this convent is a very religious, Catholic religious environment. So these kids grew up in that environment. Um, those are not spoilers. I mean, it is basically on the description and the synopsis of the movie. As you can guess, I this is my first time doing a movie review. Um, I guess I would have been the type of person that would do reactions to a movie first or a series or anything, but I've been doing some small reviews on my Instagram account where every single movie or TV show that I've watched, I share my views on them in a very small fragment of what my actual thought was on the show, movie, anime, whatever I watch. This movie, it was good. It was a good movie. Um, and there is a however coming on. There's however when something is like that is said in that tone specifically. It was a good movie. Um, I was enthralled the whole way through, just guessing what was gonna happen next. Yeah, I was entertained, definitely. Um, I am not a, I don't watch horror movies or thrillers. I don't watch movies like that mm, a lot because a lot of reasons. I usually can guess the plot very easily. I can guess what it's gonna go on um, pretty easily as well. I don't get scared uh, as easily either. Probably because I've been very desensitized to it because I've watched a lot of horror shows like American Horror Story. Also, when it comes to like creatures or things like that, I've watched Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities, which was very good, by the way. I that on its own should have its own video where I review it. But yeah, so I've watched horror shows and I've watched here and there. I've watched a few horror movies. So when going into this movie, I read some reviews before because I wanted to know what type of horror it was. If it was psychological horror, if it was more of a um, visual horror of like gory type of horror, or like what genre is it? And when I was going through this, I saw the reviews and like some comments of people saying that like they could not sleep after watching this movie, that they had nightmares and things like that. So going into the movie, I was expecting a lot, I guess. I was expecting for something on the level of The Orphan because the plots are very similar. So I was like, oh, so it's gonna be probably like The Orphan. But it wasn't. It wasn't. In my opinion, as I said, it was a good movie. It was very enjoyable to watch. While I was watching it, I was very like into it. I was enthralled into the storyline, guessing the entire time I was expecting for something to happen, right? Like after each event happened, after each storyline was wrapped up and kept going, I was guessing, okay, what is going to happen next because they have to keep the ends going, right? Um, but it didn't. In my opinion, it really didn't lead to much, which was different from other horror movies that I like. The one that I can honestly like, I kept comparing it in my mind to The Orphan. Mostly, as I said, because the storylines are very, very similar. Um, on like the sense of like this couple that adopts a a child, and the orphan was one, and this one was two. It was like the Shining kids, the kids from The Shining, like two little kids, but also from that old movie where everyone is blonde. I don't remember the name of the movie now, but that movie. Like those two kids, you look at them and they're eerie from the moment you see them. They're albinos. You can like albinos. Like in my family, I've got like albinos, albino relatives, and growing up, I was always told that I looked like one of them because I was super blonde and very very pale. Um, so and they, I was always compared to like vampires and things like that. So on that sense, I could empathize with the kids when it came to that. Um, but yeah, like aside from that fact, the eerie part of the kids is their beliefs and their whole thing about religion and how they take the Bible so literally, and little small kids being so into religion that makes it creepy for me. For me, that's what made it creepy. The part that there's such religious fanatics as small children, that is what made them creepy. Like they looked maybe like eerie from their appearance, from being like so pale and having this super pale complexion and the and everything. As I said, they're albinos. Uh, but aside from like as if like their appearance at first was striking, but like once you get used to it, it's really not much about it. So their personalities is what makes it more like it's what makes them the more eerie. And the thing is, it's like you would usually when you watch a movie, uh, when it's about like creepy kids, the kids themselves, their personalities are very creepy, on the sense of like they don't act like kids. Like they have a very like calm behavior, or they speak like grown ups. Um, like they've seen stuff, and that's kind of creepy about kids. That's why I've always been called creepy. Um, but in this movie, the kids are really not like they act like kids. They speak like kids. They behave like kids. They like playing. They like running around. They're very cheerful and everything. It's just when they start talking about religion, that's when it gets creepy. Like they like everything that they know, they just know it too much, and they think everything is very literal. And okay, so this is the part where I'm gonna start talking about the storyline and events of the movie. So spoilers ahead from this moment on if you don't want to hear about spoilers, if you want to watch the movie and get your own opinion on yourself from it. This is the point, okay? So, but like in overall, not talking about spoilers, it was a good movie. It just didn't reach my expectations when it came to horror and being a thriller or anything. I didn't feel anything. Uh, the comment said that it would cause a lot of anxiety and all of that, but for me it didn't. Anything was. It was just entertaining because I was watching something, you know. Okay, so when it comes to the storyline, I knew like what was gonna happen. So like the first parts of the movie, it was everything like okay, like this is what I was told already was gonna happen. Stay hydrated. When they went to the convent, like from the first 10 minutes of the movie, I could already tell the dynamics of this couple. And I saw it coming from miles away that like once shit starts going, like once things start to happen, the husband is gonna be gaslighting the wife, and that's what happened. I mean, like Lola was being gaslighted the entire time, and that part itself was already like, this is such a cliche. It's such a cliche. Like the wife is the one being gaslighted into like, no, they're normal kids. Like this is normal behavior. This is all in your head, like the entire time. Which, like, the one thing that I felt was frustration. Of like, these kids are so in your face, creepy and abnormal in their behavior and things they've done, and you've clearly seen, talking about the husband here, you've clearly seen them do creepy shit. Like they've unalived your dog very methodically. It wasn't just like it was not like he said it was an accident or anything. Like you don't do that as an accident. Like how they chose a knife, they chose the pizza slice or whatever that was in like that time, in that period of time, but it looked like a pizza slicer. Um, and like and then they took his heart out, they cleansed them, and then they put it back in and they sewn it back together. This was not like, I was expecting it to be gory at that point for them to show what was happening, well, what they were doing, but they never showed it, which was like, okay, so this is not gore. That's when it clicked to me, like, okay, so gore is out of the way. But then, like, him saying to the wife all the time, like, it was an accident, and defending the kids the entire time, while they did not deny in any moment that it was not them or anything. They admitted it, and they were like, we wanted to cleanse him. Why is he not coming back? And then you can, like, okay, like, they're very innocent, so they don't realize their actions. You could make that argument for them, but still, like, that is like several amounts of red flags, like 1,000 red flags in this kid's behavior, and you should immediately take them to therapy. To, like, if I was the one in that situation and I was the husband, I would immediately be like, this kids need therapy. These kids have been so brainwashed by religion, but they have not been taught how to handle religion. And when I say this, is like, I grew up in a Catholic household, and then I converted to the Christian evangelic church. So I've been surrounded by religion growing up. I've been grown apart from religion ever since I moved to Taiwan, but I still hold my beliefs. So that's the thing. It's like, my parents taught me right from wrong from the beginning and everything, but, like, in the environment they grew up, they were just being, like, shoved religion and this very extreme ideas of, like, taking religion as something to be like, afraid of. Like, they thought, like, thunders were the wrath of God, and that already told me, like, oh, they don't know anything about religion, actually. Like, they just know the words, and they take it very literally. Then when we move into the house and then they showed Lola, like, Tina says, like, we have this our own special way of seeing God. Do you want to see it? And I was like, oh, what are they gonna do? And then she puts a bag, I think it was, or yeah, I think it probably was a bag, to choke Tin, her brother, to choke him. Like, she puts the bag on his face and then, like, closes it, restraining air from coming, and that's their way to see God. And she, like, Lola was at first, like, completely shocked, and, like, her reaction was very appropriate at that moment of, like, what is going on. And then they said, like, no, you promised to sit down, and she just sits down. And I was like, no, like, as an adult, you shouldn't be sitting down. You should be stopping this behavior. Like, this is not okay. And then she takes it out, and then he's like, I asked for a miracle for you, or something like that. And I was like, what the actual hell? Like, at that moment, I just felt frustration for, like, Lola not immediately taking action on this. And then they started just playing with marmalade, throwing it around, and she forgot about it. Then they killed a dog, and that was washed over immediately. Like, sometimes they would reference it, but like it was a like it happened, it was an accident or whatever. Then they are bullied at school for how they look, and then in their communion date, they take the bully out, and it's very obvious that it was them. Like, it's so very very obvious. I think that's the one thing that I just didn't enjoy much about it. Like, I was not it was not a thriller because I didn't have moments where I was like, what is gonna happen next? What is gonna happen next? What is gonna happen? Like, why is this happening? Who did this? Or who? Like, I did not have mystery. It was very obvious the entire time of like, this was done by them and all of this. Um, yeah. Then she gets pregnant by miracle because she was told that she would never be able to have kids again after she lost her children. Um, but then she gets pregnant again, and the kids are very excited that they're gonna have a brother. All like it was okay. It was okay for a while. It's like from the way I'm talking, you can probably guess that like how my whole feeling about the movie is. I've talked about it. Like, it was okay. Um, then like the tipping point for the parents. This entire time, the father was just gaslighting the mother. The entire time he was just gaslighting her, telling Lola like, no, they're innocent. They're just innocent kids playing. Like, even if it was them, like they could have probably done worse. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean by that? Like, they were being bullied, so like this could have probably been worse. And it's like the other kid is in a coma, and later on he died. So, no. Like, it was the worst scenario. Like, this could not have been worse. This was the worst. They did not punish the kids in any way. They did not talk to the kids, or they didn't show at least like scenes of them talking to the kids and explaining to them like, this is not how things are done and blah 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 blah. They just, at that point, like, she takes all the crosses from the house, and she like takes the Bible and locks it on a cage and on a vault, and she says to them like, when you're grown up you're allowed to see this, but until then there's no more religion in this house. And they are just like, okay. Then she's like very very pregnant, and her husband is a pilot, so he goes out, and he said he's gonna be back in the morning, and until then she should just rest. And then they tie her up to her bed, and they try to feed her, but like in the New Year's Eve scene, before they learned that she was pregnant, she was Tina mistook a bug poison for the sugar, and like that was already like foreshadowing. And then this scene, like, Tina put something on her milk, on the milk that she's gonna feed her mother, but we don't know if it was the sugar or if it was the bug poison. never revealed. But they tie her up with Christmas ornaments, and then they try to feed her. And while Tina is trying to feed her the milk that the mother is like refusing to open her mouth, Tim Tin is like playing as a clown with her mother's prosthetic leg. And I was like, what is going on? I am so confused. These kids are unhinged. And then, like, they said, like, okay, so we have, like, she's not, we have to figure out another way to feed the little brother. And Tim, out of nowhere, takes out a syringe, and Tina is like, "You never cease to surprise me." And I was like, "What?" And then she manages to untie herself, and she escapes. And then the father is suddenly there, and she sees her as this very cliche. He just sees the outcome where she's like already with a knife, like trying to defend herself without her prosthetic leg, and then she suddenly, her water broke, and they're in the hospital. The kid is born, and they're like she's like, no, like that is something that I cannot forget. And like he is over there still gaslighting her, just saying to her like, I told them like they should make you happy and to take care of you, and they just took it the wrong way. Like, frustration, that's the entire feeling that I felt on watching this movie, of like frustration. I didn't feel anxiety in any moment because I knew I didn't feel connected to the characters. They were all just dumb and in their own ways. Um, the baby was born. They She says that she does not wish to baptize the baby, and she says that the baby should choose his own religion when he grows up. But then the kids say that like he should be baptized, and then the father said like the baby should be baptized, and this is a democracy, and you always talk about how you love democracy, so they all vote that the baby should be baptized. And she's like, that is not. And she just doesn't say anything about it. Then they're playing at the pool, and I immediately guess what was gonna happen. They are gonna baptize the baby in the pool, and they're gonna drown the baby. And that's basically what happened. They almost drowned the baby, but baby survived. And that's when the father finally takes it on. Like he was over there just watching his football, not paying attention to the kids. Even if there was no baby and this were normal kids, he was still being a bad father by just ignoring the kids playing on the pool. Like, they're kids, they're children playing at the pool. Something bad can happen at any minute, and you are not even worried. You only care about watching your football. That's the only thing that he cared about. And like, bad father, hello, irresponsible father. But then then they take the baby while the mother goes out to fetch eggs, and they grab him by the feet, and they just put him in the water. And then Tim Tim seems like the one that is a little bit more innocent, and Tina is definitely a little bit more cunning. She's still like very innocent in a way. Like in their minds, they're just innocent because they don't know the extent of the things they're doing, or at least that's what we are led to believe by the audience, that they're still gonna be doing shit, but they just don't know better. And yeah, and then she gets the just in time because Tim says like, should I take him out now? And she's like, no, we should wash away, we should purify him, we should wait longer. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sakes. The father meanwhile was still there the entire time, and just so much sighing on this video, uh, out of frustration, honestly. And then he finally, like, when she like takes him out, then he finally like has a fit and he burns their Bible, and they're like, and then they take the kids back to the orphanage. And while they're having dinner to celebrate the 1 month anniversary of their kid, they have an argument over that. And meanwhile, we see the kids on the orphanage, and we see how like the kids are being taught religion in that environment. And you just get, throughout the movie they give you glimpses with conversations with uh, the sister, the head sister, of just how conservative, extremist teachings they have in their place. And in this place we see how like this is a wrath of God, and he's gonna come and erase all the evil, whatever. And that's the whole thing about like, they are being taught this, so of course they're gonna internalize it. They're kids, they're internalizing everything. They're so innocent that they're just being taught these things, and they don't have critical thinking yet to like think like, wait, what, this doesn't make sense or anything. Like they don't have that. They're gonna internalize it, and they're gonna take everything very, very literally. So of course. But on their way home, they almost hit something. They keep going, and then Lola basically hints that she wants a divorce, and then he says like he's gonna try better. And then things start to go ham out of a sudden. Everything starting to go out of hand. Like shit hits the fan. He gets electrocuted, he starts burning, he falls out of the roof, and then he enters the house, and then the house starts catching on fire. And then the power starts flickering and everything, and then the radio player starts playing the song that the kids dance to in front of their mother. And then she immediately thinks like, oh, the kids are in the house. At that point I was just like, get your baby, your husband is gone, it's obvious, it's like he's gone, take your baby and get out of the house. So she does, she goes out like in the house, but she cannot find her baby. And I was like, where the hell did the husband put the baby? Then she gets in her bedroom, and then she sees the image of the cross, where the cross used to be, like the shadow of it. And she does what the kids used to do, and the kids did to her at one point as well, to like wrap her face with something, like to choke herself. to ask God for a miracle, probably. And then she starts hearing her baby cry. She gets her baby. It was on a kid's room. Why was it there? I don't know. Then she gets out of the house, and then she wakes up in the hospital. The baby's fine. And the sister says to her that the kids never left the orphanage, and she woke her up herself. So she's like, oh, so they're innocent. They're innocent. So she adopts them back while burning her husband. Like, we discover that she adopted the kids again. And then the movie ends. It was very anticlimactic. Yeah, it was very anticlimactic. I was expecting something more to happen. I was expecting more horror, more. I was just expecting more, I guess. I probably shouldn't have read all of the comments and things from people that have watched the movie. There weren't any spoilers, but they were just saying like they couldn't sleep after watching this movie, and like they have nightmares and all of these things. And I was like, this is gonna be a terrifying movie then. But it wasn't at all. Like, it wasn't terrifying at all. I didn't feel a little bit of anxiety. The plot was very predictable. If you have watched similar movies, you just knew what was gonna happen. But yeah, like, I think the movie is a caution tale in a way to let people know of, like, do not take what the Bible says, or literally do not take religion so literally. And especially when it comes to the Bible, there are so many ways to interpret the Bible, and that's why there are so many denominations on the Christian church. And then there's also like the Jehovah's Witnesses and everything. Like, there's so many ways to interpret the Bible. You cannot take things so literally. And I think that's the caution tale of it, of like, especially with kids, when you're teaching them about religion, you should let them know that they cannot take things very literally, that they have to take it as in a way, also like a caution tale. The Bible is there to teach morals, in a way, values. That's what religion is for, to have beliefs and values and to follow those according to your religion or your belief, right? But these kids were never taught that. They were just taught from the moment they were babies, because they were left at the orphanage as babies. From the very beginning, they were just taught this very extremist way of thinking about the Bible. So as kids, they just didn't know better, and they just thought of the things they were doing as penitence, in a way. As there's a point in the movie where they know they've done something wrong, which was kill a dog, and they put forks around their ankles and they tie them up, and they start kneeling around the house as a penitence. So that just teaches you, like, they take everything very literally, even to themselves. It's not just for other people, it's like to themselves as well. They also think that, like, if they've done something wrong, they should be punished. So yeah, overall, I it was a good movie. I just had too many expectations for it. That's why I was let down. Uh, but now, if you've watched this video, you probably don't have as you won't have any expectations for it at all. So maybe you will be surprised. Maybe you will go to it, looking at it from a new light. So yeah, I just had all these thoughts about the movie that I wanted to share, and I didn't want to wait, so I just took out my phone and just put it in front of me to talk about it. This is right after watching the movie. Maybe after having some time thinking about it, maybe I will have different thoughts, but I don't think so. I don't really change much. My my thoughts don't really change much after watching something. But yeah, so that is my review, and also my review, my thoughts, my opinions about the movie Tin and Tina. I hope. I want to know, what did you think of the movie? If you enjoyed it, if you have your own thoughts about it, uh, please let me know in the comments. And me myself, I watched it in Spanish with Spanish subtitles because I am Paraguayan, so I speak Spanish. So everything that they like, there wasn't any mistranslation or anything that could happen to me or anything. Uh, yeah, I just followed the movie as the original material, and those were my thoughts about it. So now I want to know your thoughts about it. And yeah, so this is it. Thank you for watching, and if I have any other moment where I need to do this, then you'll probably see me doing a review again. So thank you for watching. If you got to this point, it was a very long one, so if you got to this point, thank you for watching, and bye.